Live from Colorado Springs, I'm Diego Sanchez, president of HousingWire, and I'm joined today by Jeremy Davis, the president of mortgage at Southern Bancorp. Jeremy, thanks so much for joining me today.
I'm very happy to be here. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you. So you're the president of mortgage at Southern Bancorp, which is a CDFI.
Yes.
So can you tell us more about what that means and what the mission of Southern Bancorp is?
Sure. This is a great place to start, actually, because CDFI, or Community Development Financial Institutions, kind of set the stage for most of what we're going to talk about today. So to start, I'll say a CDFI is not just another name for a bank. We are specifically chartered to assist and provide resources to underserved communities. Southern Bancorp's mission is pretty straightforward. We provide economic opportunity to rural and underserved communities. One thing that makes us different, though, is that we don't just lend money and then hope for the best. We invest in communities, we invest in learning about those communities, and we try to stick around and show them that we'll be there even when times get rough.
Yeah, and you have this philosophy of getting into communities, not just speaking to them. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So this is a personal endeavor for me. So I grew up in a very diverse family in a very low income community. In fact, I spent a lot of my formative years in public housing. So I have a personal attachment to the understanding of what getting a little bit of a hand up can do in a person's life or in a community as itself. So that's really at the root of my philosophy of community development. To lighten it up a little bit, I talk a lot about barbershops, churches, and corner stores. Well,
I love those posts, by the way.
Thank you so much. I enjoy writing them because most of them are real life experiences that either I've had or somebody close to me has had. But the barbershop is a real life experience for me. So just a couple of months ago, I was at my barber getting a haircut, and he asked me about a house that I had mentioned that I liked and wanted to buy. And just said, did you ever decide if you're going to buy that house? And I did not buy the house, by the way. That's never happening, apparently. But it struck me that he asked that question because he doesn't have a CRM. Right? He didn't get a reminder on the day of our appointment to say, oh, make sure you ask him about that house. Instead, he just has an authentic interest, an authentic relationship with me. And that struck me is that as a barber, he probably knows as much about the financial lives of his clients as a lender does when they initially get a prospect.
So where do you think most financial institutions fall short when it comes to this philosophy of getting into the community?
Oh, wow. I should say, I think a lot of institutions are doing a lot of great work. But we all know a very familiar scenario that we've seen play out, where a lender or an institution shows up at a community event, they set up a booth, hand out some branded merchandise, maybe even sponsor, and then wonder why the phone isn't ringing, right? The bottom line, though, is that they didn't stay put, right? Trust isn't built in a day, and it doesn't pack up and go home once the ribbon cutting is over.
And what are some of the missteps that you see some other lenders making when it comes to lending to minority or underserved populations?
Sure. I'll give you a great example. You've probably seen this one before too, but I watched just a few months ago, in fact, a lender post one Spanish language flyer during Hispanic Heritage Month, of course, and literally post online patting themselves on the back for it, as if they'd cracked a code, right? But the hard truth is, trust isn't built in translation. Trust is built in conversation. And I think the shortfall for a lot of institutions in our industry is that we don't realize that we need to be present. We need to be learning about communities, preferably before we try to provide a product or service to them to help them with a problem they haven't told us they have yet.
In these posts on LinkedIn, you talk about barbershops, you talk about churches. What can lenders learn from these really pillars of the neighborhood and centers of the web in the neighborhood? What can lenders learn from these local institutions?
Thank you for continuing to bring up my series.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. But I really do think lenders can learn something from all three of these institutions. Barbershops, for example. I think barbershops teach us about listening, right? Your barber doesn't have a CRM. He just knows to ask questions. He's genuinely wants to learn about you. And there's a relationship that's built there that is about trust, right? Churches is a whole different thing, right? Churches, I think, for many communities, churches are really the center of financial assistance or financial learning, if you will. It's where people go for help with rent or food, but also home buyer counseling, right? So churches teach us to be transformative, not transactional. So if you get a pastor who endorses your down payment assistance program in the pulpit, that's not marketing, that's ministry. And what churches understand better than most lenders, if I do say so myself, is that we need to be less transactional and more transformative. And corner stores, which are my favorite, by the way, corner stores.
Bodegas, where I'm from. Yeah,
they're about community, right? The person behind the counter in your corner store knows who your kids are. They know what your sweet tooth is, right? And probably what you like to solve it. So they understand what being present is. And so whether it's in person or online, being present, listening, and then making sure to present things that are transformational, not transactional. I think that's what we learn from barbershops, churches, and corner stores.
So pull all those three pillars of the community together into a cohesive strategy that lenders can execute on in order to get into these communities.
That's right. I mean, it's very simply about building trust. You know, don't show up once. Don't show up when there's something to sell or only when there's something to sell. Go in, build trust and relationships, provide education, and then provide products and services that meet your needs and theirs.
All right, so give me one initiative at Southern Bancorp that you're most excited about in terms of your future over the next year or two.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm really excited across the board for Southern Bancorp's growth. We're planning to double down on things that we do a lot of already. And they really are about building trust. They're about investing in relationships. They're about learning about the communities that we want to serve and providing solutions for them. I can sum it up by saying it's really about becoming less a visitor and more neighbor. And I guarantee you, underserved communities know the difference, and they know it before you make it in the door from your car.
Absolutely. Jeremy, what a cool conversation. Thank you so much.
Happy to have it. Thank you so much.